Would you marry someone who claimed their husband was dead, only to find out he was still posting on Instagram? Today on the Backseat Redditor, we have 3 stories that prove the truth is always stranger than fiction. My 24F brothers, 35M, widowed fiancés, 32 a chef, dead husband, 30s? M is not dead. This is so fucking ridiculous, where to start? For as long as I can remember, my brother's been the golden boy, and I've been the fuck up. I'm obviously an accident. I had some difficulties in school, and by the time I came around my parents were peaking in their careers and too busy for me, and he was too old to hang out with me. About 2 years ago, Golden Boy introduced us to his girlfriend, Sarah, not her real name. She's beautiful and tall and tragic. Exactly my brother's type. Sarah said she was previously married but her husband suddenly died from a rare heart condition. Basically, he dropped dead at like 28-29. In the aftermath, she left her home state, went no contact with her family and old friends. My brother says they were harmful during her grief journey, moved across the country, and reinvented herself. This was like 4 years ago. Immediately? I did not like. She seemed fake. It was just a vibe thing that I couldn't vocalize. But also, it didn't matter. My parents loved Sarah. Like, the moment they met her they started including her in family vacations, birthday dinners, and within a few months my mom was saying shit like, I think she's the one for your brother. Sarah has no social media. She has a super unusual last name, and over the past 2 years I've googled from time to time. Some recent stuff comes up, like stuff related to her job, but nothing from before her move, and nothing related to her husband. Nothing comes up. And she's cagey and weird about him. If you ask anything about what he was like, or his name, she gets teary, and then Goldie jumps in. They got engaged a few months ago, so every conversation RN is about wedding planning. Sarah has very few friends, none from her past life, so I'm in the bridal party with some of their mutual friends. We went bridesmaid dress shopping a few weeks ago, and I went to Venmo her payment for my dress. And then I was like, I wonder how far back this goes. Pretty fucking far. Mostly payments between her and my brother, and hairstylist/nail artist. But I saw one Venmo from a guy that looked like it was for living expenses. And when I googled him, I found his Instagram. And on his Instagram, I found a wedding photo from 2017. And in that wedding photo, he was the groom, and Sarah was the bride. And that dude is still alive. Like very alive. He posted 3 days ago. He's remarried with kids. I found her siblings, her old maiden name, and her whole old life once I found her ex's account. So what to do? Part of me is like, maybe the relationship ended badly, and that's why she goes around saying he's dead? Part of me is like, maybe she's in witness protection, she's screwed if she is because I eventually found her? Part of me is like, do I need to tell my brother? Do I tell her? Like pull her aside and be like, hey sis, what's up? I screenshotted everything so I have proof. I just don't know if I should sit on it, or tell someone. Update. I felt really affirmed by a lot of the comments that 1, I shouldn't involve my parents at all, and 2, she might have a tragic reason for changing everything in her life/be a victim, so I shouldn't approach it like I'm happy to be stirring the pot. I ended up texting Goldie to ask if I could call him on Tuesday night. And when I called him, the freak put me on speaker cause they were cooking, so I was like, fuck it, and I just told them everything about the Venmo, the husband's Instagram, etc. I framed it like, I'm nosy and I don't care but wanted to say something in case Goldie didn't know or you both don't want other people to find this. And Goldie was like, you're an idiot, of course I know BC their marriage certificate will say that she's been married before? For a moment I thought we were going to get into a fight. But honestly Sarah kind of diffused it and the 3 of us ended up talking for a few hours about Sarah's background, why she lied, me and Goldie's parents, and our relationship. I won't go into everything we talked about, but basically, Sarah grew up religious. I don't want to say too much BC, I don't want to disparage people in this religion, but she said that it's closer to a cult than a real faith. IDK enough about it to comment. Around 5 to 6 years ago she started having doubts and eventually left it. Unfortunately, in this religion if you leave everyone is supposed to avoid you. So her family and friends stopped talking to her, and the relationship with her husband got really tense. She said he was the only person who could talk to her, but the love was gone. She felt like the church was trying to torture her back into joining, and that made her be like, fuck it, we ball. Like, if everyone's going to act like I'm dead, I might as well start a new life. So she moved away, started dating, divorced her husband, picked a new last name. She said at first she told new people her background, But knowing about her old faith made people judge her and ask a lot of questions she wasn't comfortable with. So eventually she just started telling people she was a widow BC it was easier and was how she felt. When she first met my brother, that's what she told him. She told him the truth a few months into dating. Goldie says they decided together to keep her background from my family for reasons that make a lot of sense considering the type of people my parents are. Ultimately, I'm glad I told them. For the first time maybe ever I feel like I'm a part of something with my brother. It's weird but kind of nice. One convo won't undo the past 24 years of our relationship, but I feel bad for underestimating him and writing her off. It's not his fault that he's 100,000 years old and that our parents kind of suck. We had a nice Christmas together, and I could tell they both were trying to engage me more than usual. Maybe because they have some respect for me, maybe because they're scared lol, but either way I feel a little seen by them and I feel like I see them more. Thanks again. Make sure your Venmos are set to private. Our first baby's due date conflicts with a major presentation I have to give out of state. Try to ask off, but boss really needs me there. Me, 31M, with my wife, 29F, of 3 years. My problem is that I have a huge work presentation scheduled during the week that my wife is due to give birth, first week of August, to our first child, and it will require me to be on the other side of the country for a couple of days. I initially tried to lobby for another time, but that week was the only one that worked for both sides. The chances are good that I won't miss the birth of my child, but there are no guarantees. The thing is I really can't miss this presentation. The investors that my company is pitching to are mostly interested in a project I have been working on, and since I have done most of the work on it, there really isn't anyone that can replace me. I have to be there to explain the core concepts and answer their questions. On the other hand, I wouldn't be of much use in the delivery room. Plus, my mother-in-law could easily replace me without any loss. I badly want to be there for my wife and child, but I think I do them more good being away for this presentation than at the hospital. This is because I almost certainly will lose my job if I miss this presentation. Of course, my wife is absolutely furious. I honestly wish there was a stronger word than furious to describe how upset she is with me, which I completely understand, but there isn't much I can do. I have tried to explain the situation to her 1,000 different ways, but she won't hear it and has withdrawn her affection from me. Part of me is afraid of what will happen if I don't go, but I might be more afraid of what will happen if I do. I worry that my wife will never forgive me for missing our child's birth, which would absolutely tear me apart. Am I making a huge mistake, or am I doing the right thing for my family? I don't think there is a way for me to win either way. Edit, just to be clear, my boss didn't actually tell me I would lose my job. He just told me I would regret it. I am just speculating that he would eventually fire me once he found an adequate replacement, which would probably take a few months. A lot of this is just speculation, but I am risk-averse. Some of you may ask why I can't just find another job. I probably could, but for reasons that I won't go into, I would be better off staying here. TLDR, I have a presentation at work that I can't miss, but there is a chance that I will miss the birth of my child by attending the meeting. Wife is understandably furious, but I likely will lose my job if I skip the meeting to be with her just in case she goes into labor. Am I completely off base here? Update 1. So first things first. I took a lot of abuse in my last post, which I thought was unfair. I am not a coward, as many of you suggested. Just because I don't always take the most aggressive approach doesn't make me a bad guy. I'm just careful not to make mistakes. Many of you also implied that I was looking for a way to avoid the birth because I am uncomfortable with it. It is true that I don't deal with blood or some bodily fluids well, so I'm not excited about that part of it, but I wasn't looking for a way out. I thought, and I still believe this, that I just wouldn't be very good support in the delivery room. There's a good chance I would throw up, especially if my wife defecates on herself or if I am asked to cut the umbilical cord. These are all things that I was considering because I didn't want to become a distraction in the delivery room. As for how the situation resolved itself, I am happy to report that everything is going to be okay. I talked with my boss yesterday, and I was really assertive. I told him that I couldn't be away for that long with my wife's due date being that close, so we would have to find some sort of compromise. I suggested what some of you told me to do, which is tell him I could only come out for a day and then I would immediately fly back. As for why I can't Skype, I really just need to be there in person. It would make everything a lot easier. After some hand-wringing, he agreed. Now the plan is for me to fly out the day before the presentation and then fly back after I give the presentation. In all, I shouldn't be in California more than 28 hours, so I'll be back by my wife's due date since it is several days later in the week. Before everyone gets upset, I already cleared it with my wife. I called her after I spoke with my boss and asked her if she was okay with it. She told me it was fine, and she's not one of those people that would say it if she wasn't really okay with it. I know that the whole incident upset her, so hopefully things will calm down around here soon. She seemed fine today, so I think everything will be okay now. Thanks to all of you that gave constructive advice. It helped me out a lot. TLDR, talked with boss. He agreed to let me cut my trip short, and my wife gave me the okay to go. I'll be back in time for my baby's birth. All is well now. Final update. To those of you who told me not to go, you were right. I wish I would have listened. I flew out to California last Tuesday night. I was supposed to give the presentation on Wednesday and fly back Wednesday night, but that never happened. Early Wednesday morning I got a call from my ML that wife had gone into labor. By the time I caught a flight home, the baby had already been born. He's healthy, by the way. I made the wrong decision, and I know it'll take time for my wife to get over this. If anyone else is in a similar position, please don't repeat my mistake. Be there for your wife and child, and don't assume your first baby will be late or on time. TLDR, should have listened. Missed birth. My BF is expecting to do whatever he wants in the moment without considering me, yet expects me to adapt to him. My F39 boyfriend, M39, of 5 years has picked up a hobby I dabble in. I was excited to have a joint interest, only to find out he is regularly doing it with a female friend while I am at work. It is an activity that can be done solo or with someone as company. When I started to be bothered by the amount of time they are spending together and at the same time his diminishing investment into time with me, he told me that he prefers to do this activity in company, and since I am not available, he is doing it with this person. A couple of days ago he proposed me to join him since our schedules synced. I happily agreed and pointed out that his technique got much better than mine, and so I am asking for some patience from him. He then said that he will likely do it alone since he wants to feel unrestrained and have some quality alone time. We have spent 48 hours together before after not seeing each other all week. I pointed out that he told me the reason he was doing it with his female friend was because he prefers company and I am unavailable, but now chooses to do it alone, leaving me behind. I also said that whenever we did it together in the past, I was happy to accommodate to his skill level, while I don't see that from him now. He exploded, accusing me of trying to back him into a corner, saying I am holding him to his past statements that have nothing to do with present day. He feels he is free to do what he chooses in the moment and resents having to explain himself to me, who he says is trying to F*** K with his head. He later apologized and offered to do our common hobby together, saying he was worried about me feeling self-conscious regarding my now inferior skill and didn't communicate it well. He says he isn't good at communication and that after such a long time of being together I should be more understanding of it. I find this lack of reciprocity less palatable, increasingly unfair, and stressful. How do I address this? Update. About a year ago I posted about my relationship situation where my partner got increasingly self-centered, with minimal to no interest in me. I stopped investing effort that wasn't matched as someone suggested and started demanding more support and accountability. It got worse. He resented me for not being constantly available, started being mean and disrespectful, overtly prioritizing his friends, especially female ones, over me, blaming me for everything that was wrong, telling me I am too hard on him because he just forgets and that's not something to hold against him. He started raising his voice at me, telling me I should just accept whatever he does. A few months ago I went on a really intense business trip for a couple of weeks. Before that, he made sure he was busy and we couldn't spend any real time together. He said my leaving was not a big deal. As soon as I left, he started spending time with his friends, especially one female. He took time for a weekend trip days before his biggest project of the year was due and told me he did it because he wanted to. It finally hit home that he wanted a maid, not someone to partner with and appreciate. I confronted him about it and he broke up with me over the phone, saying he is bored being with me in my happy place, no drama, makes him profoundly miserable. It hurt, but I was done anyway. My besties toasted to the breakup with champagne behind my back, face with tears of joy, God bless them. Turns out they couldn't stand him and how he treated me, but respected me enough to stay silent and just support me. I love them to death. When he tried to backpedal, I didn't have it. He tried dating one of the girls he was spending time with before we broke up. It didn't go well, just as I predicted. Now he is circling back to me, saying we just had a crisis in communication and that he learned from his mistakes. He wants a do-over. And I am not having it. It turns out my life is calmer, more restful, and steady without him in it. Now he's trying to restart contact and pushing all the buttons he knows used to work. He doesn't realize that while he spent the last months working on his next conquest, I spent them working on me. And those tricks don't work anymore. Who was the biggest villain today? The husband who missed the birth, or the boyfriend who prioritized his female friend? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.